Misadventures in Zero Gravity. My name is Chris Mepham. I use he, him pronouns, and I am joined by a lovely cast of people who will all introduce themselves in a moment. Outside of being here helping out with this excellent charity, I am an illustrator, I am a games master and an all-round geek. You can find me just generally bumming around the internet doing my own thing, but I'm going to let my wonderful cast of players introduce themselves and tell you who they are and what they get up to. And I'm going to start with Josh, please.
Cool, pick on me first, no worries. Hey everybody, I'm Josh, singing like Josh on the internet. I use he, they pronouns, and I bum around on the internet and help organise events like Roth for Good and other things.
Beautiful, thank you so much for that. Moira, would you like to go next, please?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, my name is Moira. You can see me on just about everything as Moira. I'll be in the chat as Moira ttrpg, but I try to stream with a little bit of everyone. So you can find me streaming at a couple different other channels, and hopefully more Roll for Good in the future.
Perfect. Yes, and definitely more Roll for Good in the future, I think. Hedge, would you like to go next, please?
Yeah, I'm Hedgehawk, he, him, Hedge, if you want to abbreviate it. Yeah, I have just started doing TTRPGs, DM a podcast, all the usual good stuff. Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. And last but definitely not least, the lovely Frida.
Hello, my name is Frida. This is actually my first time ever streaming, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Always welcome first timers, it's great. So we'll get to who everyone's playing shortly when we get into the game itself. Just wanted a quick shout out and a big thank you to Laurie for that wonderful introduction. So, shall we blast off and go to space, everybody? Let's play some D&D with spaceships and lasers.
Heck yeah.
Big lasers.
Big lasers. So, our story, like most stories in the verse, start with a job and an offer of credits for a job well done. And for most, if not all of you, it was the sort of job that appealed. A famous psychic had been captured by the Roth, the aggressive alien hive beings from deep within the black. But rather than them being lost forever with the Roth, they had been underestimated, and this person's abilities had allowed them to get a message out. With psionic deafness, they had also managed not only to break through the Roth's hive mind, but had stolen valuable information about the strange beings that other sentients had never seen before. The only problem, they had had to sacrifice their body to do it. Now, only a brain in a jar, a slightly mobile jar, the great Dr. Walter Brainstorm of Earth needed outside help to escape. That is where you all came in. Sneaking onto a Roth ship, stealing a brain in a jar, and escaping without notice. Exciting, dangerous, but very worthy stuff. Which is why you were all hoping for a quiet R&R on Perseus Station for a few days. While you waited for a particularly nasty ion storm to pass through the region, you needed to just lay low before jumping away to meet your contact and deliver the Great Doctor into their safe hands. But things in the verse are rarely that simple. So when you were awoken by alarms and the news from your AI that the Roth were attacking Perseus Station, you knew your luck had run out. Escape was the safest course for you now, and hope that you could reach your ship before the Roth discovered your whereabouts. Things are not going well. Currently, floating amongst the debris are several attack droids that had suddenly turned up and attacked you and the Doctor. You're at least able to take a moment to think on how you ended up here, and most importantly, you can decide amongst yourselves who was responsible for breaking the anti-gravity.
Ooh.
So,
Wow.
we'll get to that in a second. First of all, our eyes are going to settle on a slim human form in a very plain uniform. Hedge, could you introduce Tiberius, please?
Yes, so Tiberius is human. Yeah, very lithe, very slim, not much muscle on the arms or the body, particularly the legs. You'd think he'd be nimble, but unfortunately he has 2 left feet, and any attempt to move with swiftness is met with a faceplant generally on the ground. He's extremely smart, probably too smart for his own good. Probably the one you would want to trust with the brain, but given that he can't hold things and drop it, probably not. He always carries around his gadgets. He's a gadgeteer. His belt is just full of wires and gizmos and buttons, some of which he built ages ago, but doesn't actually know what they do anymore.
Probably the similar reflection floating a little way away is a very small draconic figure. Frida, could you please describe Tulip for us?
Yeah, Tulip is a tiny kobold. He wears a long coat that has a lot of like makeshift pockets and things strapped to it everywhere, and little wires here and there. Yeah.
Looking like a huge device of mechanics is a third figure, made of metal, large, and presently upside down. Moira, could you please describe Ceirydos for us, please?
Yes, absolutely. So you see Ceirydos, yes, this big, hulking kind of metal creature fashioned of different jewels and weird metals that come from obviously different places, different spaces throughout space. They are a Aquan race that has to survive within a specific liquid concoction that is held within this essentially diving suit, this large heaving diving suit. Despite the fact that they're upside down, you can get the sense that almost terrifyingly so, based on their size, and they are rather deft and skillful. They hold themselves poised as if very slim and lithe, and can move at very quick speeds. So they've got this peace about them and are actually enjoying this new perspective from being upside down, trying to think about how this may impact their view on life and their view on death.
Amazing. Being the largest member of the party, Ceirydos is also holding what looks like a large jar with mechanical parts and little tiny spider legs that are sort of trying to find purchase at the moment, and a voice inside that is kind of finding new and creative Earther expletives in different languages to kind of complain about their current situation. And finally, another small figure, not too far from Ceirydos, probably also slightly amused. Josh, could you please describe your character, the amazing Skip?
Cool. So Skip Goldfound is a halfling dressed in full, like 17th century pirate garb with a cutlass at their waist, currently floating probably not too far from Ceirydos, and kind of enjoying themselves as they sort of gently bounce around in zero gravity with a big silly grin on their face.
So one question before we dive in. Who broke the artificial gravity in the fight?
Skip, for sure, 100%. Like, what probably happened was the following. Skip is not from space, Skip is from a low-tech world, and was like, oh, cool, a button, wonder what this does. Jam the button.
Don't press that.
And off it went, yeah. And you were like, don't press that, and he looks at you and goes, why? And then pushed it anyway.
That's why.
Oh, this is fun.
I feel like as Tiberius sort of floats and turns slowly in place, probably got his arms crossed. And
Yeah.
an expression
Not
on
very
his face.
impressed at all.
Yeah.
Like, this is not what I wanted to do.
So, you find yourself in this predicament. Gravity is off. You're all floating ever so slightly away from it, but you do have at least the advantage that you managed to take down these security bots that suddenly attacked you. What would you like to do?
Ooh. Well, I suppose the first thing is, can we please get gravity back on before we drift away? That's the priority. I think Tiberius is probably going to try and move towards the console, but obviously he's not strong, so like grabbing onto things and really trying to pull himself towards the button, and he's there like with his legs pretending he's swimming, like trying to flap them. It's like he knows it doesn't work, but it's the mental sort of like mental building yourself up that if I do my legs I can pull myself closer to the button.
That's fabulous. I would like an athletics check from you. First roll of the game.
First roll, and let me just do my modifier for athletics. Where is it? -2, so this will be fun. Let's try my lucky blue dice. Let's see what happens. 5.
So Tiberius is a man who seems to quite like presenting a certain calm air about him, and it's probably slightly comical to the rest of you that he's suddenly floating in space, looking like he's swimming but not actually moving, just kind of just turning ever so slightly.
Yeah, it's all like arms like that. It's all like it's rotating around.
Is it a doggy paddle?
Yes, it's a doggy paddle swim while sort of like rotating around. Because there's nothing he can grab onto immediately to pull himself forward.
How about the rest of you? Do any of the rest of you have any ideas for how to get out of this situation?
So we're just sort of suspended in space as such.
Very much so. I mean, you can probably kick off of something if you can float yourself in towards it. It's a case of moving your bodies. I think Skip is quite balanced in how he uses his body. I think him and Ceirydos, more than the rest of the party, are used to kind of just like using their body in different ways, and probably have practice moving in zero gravity since they both appeared in the verse.
Skip will shrug their shoulders, and as Ceirydos moves first, I'll throw this one to Moira.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I think what I'll do is Ceirydos is holding this brain spider jar, and since Skip is relatively close to me, I'll just go catch, and I'll toss the jar and kind of have that motion of tossing kind of give me some momentum, and I'll backwards float towards the button and hope I knock backwards into the right thing.
Amazing. Make me an acrobatics check. As the jar floats towards you, Skip, you do hear it saying, "I am not to be manhandled this way. I am a scientist!"
That is a 10.
A 10. You do manage to get the momentum going. You kind of bump into the ceiling. And you know that with a little bit of a kick-off, you can probably aim yourself back down. Skip, make me just a quick dexterity check to see if you can catch the good doctor.
Do you want just straight dexterity? Do you want...
Just a straight dexterity. You can add your proficiency, though, I think.
Do I have anything? Oh, yeah, that's just got proficiency. I'll roll acrobatics. 28.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to flare this in any way?
I think what happens is that Skip so Ceirydos throws it over their shoulder, and then Skip kind of shows off a little bit. And like I was saying, they were doing backflips and messing around in the zero gravity. So just does backflips and just catches it with one hand and then spins him on one finger like a basketball while he's like, "I'm not meant to be manhandled."
In addition to that, with a natural 20, the momentum pushes you back as well, so you are in a position that you can kick off and get back towards the floor easily, which just leaves little Tulip.
Yeah. Tulip is panicking and trying to grab anything closer to him by the walls, and sort of almost catches something, and then no. And then finally he gets close to some kind of railing or something, and he tries to grab it.
Lovely. I'll have a quick. I think I have an acrobatics check off of our little friend.
Oh no, 5.
A 5. See, nearly, and even one of your little taloned fingers just kind of scrape off against this kind of bar that and you just float away as keeping going and rotating.
Oh no!
You know,
Oh no.
you know from experience, you're not in any immediate danger, but you don't just have any grip anywhere at all.
How close is Tiberius to the button, approximately?
Further away than you started at this point. With that roll, my friend. The closest to it now is probably Ceirydos, who can have a quick look over the panel and things and see if they can figure out what's going on.
Sure, yeah, if I could, from the distance that I'm at, I think they would go ahead and try to look at the panel and really specifically almost dive, like water, kind
huge
of through
mechanical
the gravity.
Yeah, I love
Yes,
that.
just lively diving through the gravity, lack thereof, to pinpoint the button. I'd probably look over to Skip and be like, do you remember which one you hit?
No.
All right. So I think maybe some kind of investigative
Perfect.
moment before I dive through.
So I'll give you 3 options. You can roll an investigation check, a technology check, or a data check. All 3 are applicable.
I will go ahead and just do investigation.
Can I remotely try and shout to give the help action?
Yes, I will allow
Yeah.
that. Yes, you can do so with advantage, Moira.
That'd be great, because my first roll was a 6. And this one, that's better. That would be a 14.
14, yes. So Tiberius starts shouting a description for the button that should control the master panel. And you're kind of skipping over it, and eventually you can see it as well. So also you can see it is slightly depressed, where basically Skip hit it so hard it's pushed down.
Oh no.
Great. I will attempt to dive towards it.
Amazing.
And kind of immediately grab it and almost start kicking back off, trying to see if I can wrench it out some way.
Cool, excellent. So you kind of bash onto this button and things like that. The gravity section of the panel does look a little bit damaged. Possibly not Skip's fault. It may have actually been damaged in the fight. But Skip hitting that button with the weight of their excitement has pushed it over the edge. So you may need one of your tech heads to give it a look over.
Cool. Yeah.
Who is currently floating in the other direction, away from the console.
I think roughly where you are at the moment. You know from past experience that both Tulip and Tiberius are very good at this sort of thing. Tulip is possibly slightly closer, but looks quite panicked. Tiberius is a bit more calm, but is slowly drifting away from you at this point.
Sure. I will kind of, since I've already got purchase on the channel, I'll almost like you do in a little swimming pool where you just go. I'll start doing that over to Tulip and just like start speaking like very calmingly, like, Tulip, this is beyond my experience. I really need you to calm down.
Tulip has been watching Ceirydos and is also trying to like swim his way towards Ceirydos.
Wonderful.
I'm on my way. And I'll go ahead and grab them and kind of pull them over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will allow that. That's fine. So you have a little tiny kobold under one arm at the moment. Skip, you hit purchase on the ceiling and are able to push yourself back down towards Earth if you need to. I think with the correct sort of like trajectory, you can probably grab Tiberius on your way through.
I was actually gonna ask for shenanigans instead.
Yeah, go. Shenanigans are always welcome.
I'm gonna like reach onto my belt and pull off like my silk rope and lasso Tiberius back to us.
Absolutely. Make me a ranged attack roll with the lasso.
Interesting.
You can do it with advantage because Tiberius can't control.
Right, I'm gonna
right now.
I assume because it's ranged, it's dexterity, so I'm just gonna roll my rapier because that's the same.
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Hello. There we go.
Oof.
There
So
you
you
go.
don't do.
25 to grab him.
It's all right. You don't do the damage. It's fine. 25.
I was gonna say. That's one way to end the stream.
Oops, sorry.
Some misadventure we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wasn't planning on player violence, but apparently it's going ahead. No, the rope slips around Tiberius's ankle as you kind of zoom past him. Tiberius, to add more indignity to what is happening to you, you are found yourself tugged back towards the floor by a rope that you didn't even see slip on.
No.
Come on, Tibbs,
Like,
need you.
no, not like this.
Tulip, you are presented with this broken panel. You can make either a technology or a skill check with one of your tools, because I know that you have various bits and pieces that you can use.
I'll hold Tulip up to the panel like a Lion King, kind of like, here you go.
I love that.
The technology. No, that's not one. 8.
Oh. 8. This is actual technology as opposed to magic tech. This is that awful Earther stuff that they keep bringing out here. There's actually just electricity and wires. Blah.
Why do you do? Why do you make your ships like this?
Because they're practical. Just get me near the thing.
I think at this point we'll allow Skip to sort of arrive and Tiberius like shortly thereafter.
Yeah, in that case, if I arrive, I would like to try and tech check it as well, see if I can figure it out.
Beautiful. Yep, please go ahead.
Let's see if I can. 17.
17. That is enough. You kind of manage to jam the button back up with a kind of a little bit of a... You kind of have to pull the panel up and kind of just reset it. Basically, the spring has just come loose underneath. It's something really simple. The reason that you'd probably think that Tulip missed it because Tulip was probably looking for something that wasn't there, like Magitech, like energy flows different and things like that. So you put it back in place. You can hit the button again, and gravity returns. You all feel that sort of like sinking feeling in your stomach, like as if you were going down in a lift, as you kind of all find your feet.
Ground, sweet ground.
Yeah. You all feel slightly heavy for a moment as well, as you often do when you're faced with zero gravity and then sudden gravity. You hear a mammoth, colossal amount of crashing as all the bits of the robots that you were fighting hit the deck. But you are otherwise safe and can have a moment to yourselves.
I think the first thing Tiberius is going to do is immediately stand up and just like dust his uniform off. Just like, trying not to think about what just happened.
Yeah. Tulip,
It's
you were about to say something?
Just a little sigh, and I'll just be like checking everything and see if I have everything still in my pockets. And I hate that.
Ceirydos will keep holding you until you tell them not to. So you're
I'm
checking
okay,
it out,
hey?
and Ceirydos is just...
It's quite nice.
And Tulip is very little, so doesn't really weigh that much. So you have an open room. You know the direction you came from, and the direction you were heading was towards the docking bay. Does look like there's a couple of clear tunnels heading down that way. In the distance, you can hear the sounds of fighting, laser fire, shouting, and the like. But it's a little further away, so you think that you are in the immediate. You're all safe at the moment. But you do need to get off this station because that's probably going to be a limited time.
Do I do slight shenanigan? Can my AI Ares interact with the station in any way?
Good question. You've not tried before. You do know that the station itself is run by a series of systems, all linked to Tengara, the aboleth, who runs the station. So it probably is possible. It's worth having a go.
Yeah, we'll just see if we can, because if we can get the AI into the system, maybe we can see what's ahead of us before we go running into it.
It's a
Download
really good
map or
suggestion.
something, yeah.
Yeah. It's probably date, I'd imagine.
Yep, that's
Try and
perfect.
do it?
Yeah, go for
Right,
it.
let's go for it. Oh, nat 20.
Let's go.
Nat 20 for 27.
Awesome. So you managed to access the security logs from one of the nearby terminals. You can see that there is fighting through several places. There is one clear corridor, which you can see there are a few other people kind of just going up as well. And that is probably linked to the one, probably to your right where you're standing at the moment. It's a big open area. It's kind of looks like it's normally a carousel for bringing in large shipments, but at the moment it's obviously switched off because of emergencies. Is there anything anyone else would like to do at the moment? Sorry, Hedge.
Right?
Skip's just happy, just like looking around and messing with stuff that he probably shouldn't be messing with while all of this goes on.
Oh no. Don't touch the toys. How's the brain in the jar? Out of curiosity. Who's got the brain in the jar?
Fortunately, Skip managed to remember to hold it onto it, and it's currently kind of doing this underneath his arm. You can put me down now if you wish. It's perfectly fine. I'm capable of walking, if not defending myself at least.
Okay. Drop.
And he does kind of just bump, and these sort of like these suppressors, the kind of way it's designed, he kind of just nearly hits the floor but doesn't quite, and it just kind of starts scuttering around a little bit. Your AI comes back and says to you, Tibbs, there is a number of different factors going on. It doesn't seem like the Roth are the only people attacking this station.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Great.
What?
Yeah, sorry. I forget you guys can't hear. So it looks like there could be a way out, but also the Roth aren't the only ones attacking the station. So we clearly have angered a lot of people. Now, if you don't mind, I probably would like to get going. And at that point, he sort of takes... Normally, Tiberius uses a plasma blaster, a single one-hand pistol. But for emergencies like this, on his back is a two-handed plasma launcher that he just takes off his back and kind of like, cocks it like a shotgun. It's like, right, let's go.
Tiberius, what did you do?
Nothing. I don't think I did anything. I don't think I'm wanted here. Am I wanted here? No.
Generally, nobody is wanted here. Not in terms of nobody's not welcome here, but nobody is. This is what's called a safe harbor. It's one of those few places in the verse that you can come and you leave your personal stuff at the door, or you get fed to the aboleth, basically.
Seems fair.
Fair?
Oh my.
Cool. I'll set Tulip down and kind of start to make my way towards the back of the group, essentially, where if we continue forward, I'll be taking up the rear defensively.
So do we get out of here, or what did you say, Tiberius? There's a way out.
The door on the right seems to be some sort of carousel up ahead. Might have to get that working, but if we can get past that, we should be okay, I think. And Tiberius is one of those people who has this weird personality complex where he wants to be a leader but doesn't want to lead from the front. So
Well, Tulip is already hurrying towards the door on the right, so...
yeah. You go ahead, I'll follow you.
You're presented with... Josh, did you want something to say?
I was literally just going to say Skip being small and stealthy, etc., will also go and follow Tulip.
So the two smallest members of your party kind of head towards the right-hand door. What you're faced with is kind of half-closed blast doors that somebody has kind of seems to have jammed down in a hurry. And there is enough space for you all to crawl through. Ceirydos might have to pull it open ever so slightly, but you've seen how good how dexterous they can be, so they might be able to make it through. But it does look like someone has deliberately damaged this door to try and slow people following them down.
Okay, so
Squeeze.
Sorry, Frida?
now hurry up, everyone. If they're following us, we Ceirydos, will you be okay?
Oh, I think I'll be quite all right. I've got it back here.
So the four of you and the professor make your way over to the door, and the professor waits for one or two of you to go forward first, because obviously you're being paid to protect him, or what's left of him at any rate. So who goes first?
Skip will go first.
Yeah.
Wow.
Skip bounces up the side of the door and through the little gap that's left.
Yeah.
No problem whatsoever.
I'll follow him.
Excellent. Similar thing. Well, not quite as certain of themselves, but you see Tulip bounce through the hole.
I think at that point, Tiberius is going to go in third, probably at the same time as the professor, to make sure he gets through okay.
The professor is trying to get used to this new weird body that he's been put into. Kind of pulls himself up like a tiny spider that's not quite comfortable with themselves yet, and just manages to pull themselves through and just fall to the other side with a clank. The bottom scrapes the floor as they go, which leaves poor Ceirydos to try and squeeze through. I think there's a scraping sound. It's probably, you're like, I might need to get someone to look at that later. But you do manage to pull yourself through, metal on metal a little bit, and just drop to the floor the other side.
Fingers on ears.
Do we want to close this path for anyone that might be following us? I can try to fill the
You
gap.
could, it's not a bad shout if you can close it with your strength.
Yeah, Ceirydos will go ahead after, almost before they pop down, try to kind of force the gap closed further and completely close it off.
Absolutely fantastic. Can you roll me an athletics check?
Yes.
If anybody...
It's 11.
11. Can't quite... Whoever did do this is actually stronger than you.
Wow.
And they have set it in place. It's not opening or closing. It's kind of stuck. It literally, and I think you probably mentioned this, and Tibbs or Tulip, from where you're standing, you can both see that the mechanism on it is so badly damaged. It's going to need, the whole door's going to need to be removed and replaced before they can open it again.
That's not good.
Somebody broke it with purpose. But you are on what looks like a shutdown conveyor with mechanical arms and inspection devices all the way down the corridor, heading towards what will be sun side of the station, where your ship is currently docked.
Just sort of point in the direction we need to go, and it's like, that away.
You guys make your way through. It's kind of dark and creepy, and I think every once in a while you hear the sounds of fighting kind of grow a bit quieter as you go further away, and it gets to that point where every single little ting or kick, or someone kicks a piece of metal or drops something or breathes too heavily, like other people in the party who are a bit more nervous might jump.
That's definitely Tiberius. Constantly jumping at the sound of clanks and clicks.
You slowly make your way through, and there is a large beeping light that comes up. You realise that there is a security drone that is still active in this tunnel. You don't have to fight this thing, but you're going to need to hide from it. It is designed to stop people doing what you're doing at the moment, sneaking down something that's supposed to be for cargo and getting past customs and the like.
Ooh. We sneak then?
I mean, you are a fairly sneaky party by comparison to some. Who would like to lead the point and just see if there's an easier way around this thing?
Mechanically, gang, I had 11.
You mechanically, you are probably our best bet.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In narrative terms, you all know Skip is Skip can pretty much vanish from right next to you when he wants to.
Do you want to roll stealth then, Chris?
Yeah, you lead the stealth. Everyone roll the stealth for
29.
me. Lovelies. It is a group that Skip leading will raise up everything else that's going on for the rest of you.
Okay, well that's good, because I rolled a nat 1 and I take a -1 to stealth, so I go to 0.
Fortunately, minimum you can roll is a 1, so...
Yes, thank God for that.
I was just about to complain about my dice, but then I won't. Total 12. 12?
And Ceirydos?
Total of 10. This is the third time I've rolled a 7 on the die, so that's really cool.
No.
It's a jackpot, right? I get something for that.
You're just burning through all the bad rolls early. That's what it is. Yeah.
There you go.
So I think what happens is Tiberius, in true Tiberius form, trips over his own feet and nearly walks into a metal panel, which makes a dinging sound. And then Tulip and Ceirydos, in their normal sort of we want to help sort of way, both kind of grab him, which leaves poor Skip ahead, very close to this thing as it kind of scans round and kind of waves them back. You see the light this light beam kind of zip past where they were as they kind of duck back behind a bulkhead, and then kind of scan through, and it kind of moves forward. And there's a lot of manoeuvring and kind of pushing Tiberius to the floor and things like that as it kind of goes over you and just scans where you were and then carries on down the corridor. Fortunately, Skip rolling a 29 probably saved you.
Nice.
Thank goodness for that.
So you can get up and carry on moving along this corridor. And you come out into what is a docking area. It's not the right dock for your ship, but it is a docking area nonetheless, where you can hear, again, that shouting and that fighting comes louder as soon as you come out of that corridor. You find yourself in this open area with lots of boxes and materials and the like around. And there's about 4 different doors. And the one that I think Tiberius thinks is probably the best one, you watch in horror as a different group of adventurers who you've seen on this station kind of dive through it, and then their biggest member, a giant blue Skithari, which is a bug person with a beautiful big rhino horn head, just kind of literally physically pulls his bulkhead together and smashes it with this whopping great hammer a few times.
There goes our way out.
Okay.
That was impressive.
I mean, it was very impressive, but impressive doesn't help us right now.
So do we do mini to which door we take now, or?
Give me a second. Tiberius to stay on his data pad, going through to the AI, looking at the map again, trying to figure out now, okay, we can't use the best route. What's the next best route?
So we won't make you roll because you roll so well with the natural 20. We'll let that carry over. What you have is a situation whereby there are roth and what looks like corporate soldiers moving about the station, attacking anybody who isn't on their side and each other. Most of the corridors look like they are full on, kind of engaged, and it's like a war zone. So your friends, these people that have gone ahead of you, have quite literally chosen the best path for them at this point. The next best one is probably a passenger tunnel, which leads back to where you need to be. The only problem with that is they're fairly certain that most of the devices in the area for scanning have been actively broken by someone.
Okay, so we have 2 options. One where I can tell you what's going on, and one that is one great big black spot. So how much of a gambler do you want to be?
Well, you know me. I'll have a gamble. I'm happy to take the black spot.
So statistically speaking, it's narrow fighting. So I suppose the black spot might be better.
Okay. Wait.
Is Skip asking them for a bet on that one?
I know, but like, he asked, Tibbs asked if we wanted to take the gamble.
Yeah.
Skip loves a gamble, so yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
I mean,
feel it's bad luck to bet against that.
I mean, the fact they've taken that bulwark was. Is there a way of getting it open? Could we try and follow them?
You can have a go, certainly.
So is it completely sealed shut? So is there like a gap you can like see through?
So what you watched him do is literally pull the blast doors off their hinges slightly and force them together so they can't slide easy, and then hit it with this whopping great maul of a hammer. Bearing in mind, this is one of the few creatures in the verse that makes Ceirydos look small. This is quite definitely the person who broke the door that you crawled through before.
Well, that makes sense.
Probably just trying to, again, like you've been doing, find the safest route through and prevent people from following them.
Yeah, you see, Tiberius's head is making a kind of cold calculation that if there's a gap that he can see to the other side, he can get past, but the rest of the party couldn't, and there is no way in heck once he's on the other side that he could bring those blast doors down. So he would essentially separate himself from the party. But he's in his head, he's going, statistically, that's probably my best chance of survival.
Depends on whether he feels like he needs to leave the rest of the party or not.
But ultimately, he's a good guy, and these are people he's adventuring with. So while it would be convenient, he'll go, okay, why don't we do Black Spot slowly? We don't rush. It seems there are multiple forces fighting across the station. If we're careful, maybe we can find a way to pit them against each other, weaken them, and then we mow our way through.
Yeah, sure.
It's a good plan.
Excellent. So you start making your way to this one entranceway that usually would be very well lit, but several lights have been damaged. When Tiberius described a black spot, it's a literal black spot. A lot of the internal lighting is gone. This is also one of the internal tunnels, so it doesn't have an outside space portals, so you don't get natural light coming in either. There's a few sparks from a broken droid a few meters in, and what looks like a Vect citizen who has crawled away partly before they have gone into full shutdown from damage. Something did come through here.
I think Tiberius is using his data pad a bit like how people use phones with their flashlights. Kind of just like using Ares to kind of like broadcast light into the tunnel.
Yep.
To try and help people see.
I mean, Frieda, you can do something very similar with your technology as well for Tulip. So you're standing at this entranceway, and it's this wonderful sort of science fiction horror moment where the five of you, including your brain in a jar, are all sort of standing there kind of waiting for the first person to be brave enough to step into the dark.
I mean, statistically, it can't be me. That's not smart.
Are you sure?
Sure.
Someone needs to hold the light so you guys can see. That's best done from behind.
I can see anyway.
Oh, fine. And Tiberius just takes the first step forward.
I didn't mean like you.
It's fine. The longer we stay here, the more dangerous it is anyway. So just deep breath and take the plunge.
Ceirydos and Skip, do you have anything you want to add to this, or anything you want to do before you step into the darkness?
Skip will draw their sword just for safety, but has no dark vision and has no magic, technology, magic, anything like that. So I'm relying on the good graces of my party here. to provide the luminance I need to see.
Perfect.
Yeah, I don't believe I have dark vision, so I'm just kind of. I think I'll still, if Tiberius has taken the first step, I'll still kind of stay in the spot that I was in. I'll try to take the back end of the group and be prepared to turn around and deal with anyone who tries to come from behind.
What is interesting about nautilids, which is what Ceirydos is that there is a slight phosphorescence to the water that they use to live. Although it's not enough to see by, when you are close, you can see where Ceirydos is, which is a really good staging point for anybody who kind of gets separated from them at any point. You make your way into the darkness. I will have a perception check off the whole party, please.
Ooh, okay.
Disadvantage because I can't see.
No, because I think you're all very quiet at this point, and your hearing is a little heightened, I would say.
Ceirydos.
23 for perception.
23
as well.
Nice.
17.
10 for me.
Excellent.
It's amazing what fear does to you.
So Ceirydos and Tiberius, you hear it first. There's kind of like this hot scuttling sound coming from what would be the crawl space above where most repairs are done, and something with like bone type feet, like something hard shell, crawling along against metal plates. And a slight sort of something hissing to each other in a strange tongue. And I think you get like about 20-30 feet into the tunnel, and then there's a clang, and something large falls in space behind you and starts scuttling towards you all. Tulip, you can see what this is. This looks like a twisted form of a humanoid with large swept back horns in white bone and like kind of slightly exposed muscular like armament underneath like bone plates. It's on all fours and it's kind of pulling itself along the wall. Has Tulip ever seen a roth before?
No, I don't think so. He would try not to get anywhere near them.
No, I think on your planet, because you're from a low world with magic, aren't you? You would be aware of undead. This thing looks like it could be undead, and it is like sensing out before you. It doesn't have eyes, so you think it doesn't need eyes to see, but it is chasing you. It's kind of trying to track you down. It's kind of moving erratically, as if it's aware you're there, but doesn't quite know where to find you. And I think it's this point you kind of see that the doctor is glowing ever so slightly with a little bit of psychic energy, and just mumbling to himself in Terran. I have blocked its psychic ability to see us, but it is going to find us if we don't move.
Okay.
It will be aware of us as soon as we start running, so we're going to need to run very fast. Or by that I mean you are all, because someone's definitely going to need to pick me up, because I do not run faster without legs.
Ceirydos, grab him.
Yes. I'll pick him up, and Ceirydos will look and, well, if one of us runs, but the rest of us don't run, will it just follow the one person running?
I think that it will become aware of all of us. They're very hard to pin down.
Got it.
Adrenaline spike will let you know where you are.
How narrow is this tunnel? Like, are we walking single file, dual file?
I'd probably say it's about 5 foot across. So, you, like in terms of like board mechanics, you would be single file, but you could probably press 2 of you either side easily, with the exception of Ceirydos,
who takes up the whole.
Yeah.
I have an idea, but you guys are going to have to run before I go.
I love
And
running.
you
so it's
see
okay.
that he takes his plasma launcher. So it's essentially a plasma grenade launcher that when it impacts everything in a 5 feet radius around it. So Tiberius is going to try and shoot at the tunnel to try and damage it, cause it to collapse in slightly, cause vents, anything to come crashing down on it, to either disable it long enough to give everyone else a head start to run.
Yeah.
Or, even incapacitate it if you could.
That's a really good idea. It's just an attack roll, isn't it,
Yes.
for that? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Funnily enough, a ceiling or a wall doesn't have a very high AC because they can't get out the way. So you make your attack roll.
Let's have a look. I mean, that's a
Can I-
19.
I think 19
Can I-
will definitely hit.
Yeah.
Go on.
Put some something from, because I have the alchemy jug. Can I put like mayonnaise on the floor so it's slippery?
Yes, of course you can. So I think quietly,
Plasma mayonnaise.
yeah, there's very different approaches to the situation. As your two brain boys approach it in a very different way. Tiberius starts setting up the plasma launcher, putting in the right technological pieces, and meantime, your small kobold friend takes out a big alchemy jar, turns it upside down, and starts pouring mayonnaise on the floor.
Right, that's code for you, the rest of you to run.
Okay. Run. I'm ready to run.
Because
Excellent.
unfortunately, it is going to take Tiberius a second to prime and fire it.
So, what I will do is I have a roll off everybody so we know where we are.
Mhm.
I have a dex and either athletics or acrobatics check, depending on what you're trained in, because you're trying to sprint at this point rather than long distance run. And Tiberius, I would like you to make. You made your attack roll, so that's fine. I'd like you to make the damage roll for me.
Okay, so it is. I get to overcharge my weapon, so I get to add 2 extra damage die. So it's 4d6. 15.
15. And do you do additional damage
it's
for the
fire.
area? Fire. Excellent.
Ares doesn't. Actually, no, Ares does allow me to add for 1 attack per turn my proficiency bonus. So, yeah, so it'd be 15, 18.
18. Awesome. There is this and this explosion of fire. Part of the wall collapses in, crushing this creature instantaneously, but blocking your pathway back with flames and debris. It shrieks in a way that kind of hits all of your minds. It literally feels like someone jamming cold ice in, like a nasty headache sort of thing, like a brain freeze, but much more powerful. And you're kind of, the rest of you are starting to run. What did everyone roll for their?
So what did you want? Sorry, Chris. It was an
Either
acrobatics and a what? Sorry, was it?
Either acrobatics or an athletics check, and if you can use your dexterity instead for, if you want to, for athletics, if that's better for you.
Yeah, acrobatics
nice.
is much better for me.
I rolled athletics already, but if dexterity is an option, if I could do that, that would
Yeah,
be
I
great.
didn't explain that properly, so you obviously can re-roll that. That's no problem.
16.
Nice. What did you?
8.
8. Okay.
And-
That's fine.
Oh, much better. 21.
Excellent. So, what slows Tulip up? Why do they fall behind?
I think he sort of slips on his own mayonnaise.
I think that's perfect. In this blind panic, Tulip spins on the spot and nearly falls over, and just kind of scrabbling back to their feet as the rest of the party is off.
Yeah, it gets a much later start.
Yeah. That shrieking sound that you all felt in your mind is echoed all around you, and you hear lots of little movements.
Not good. Not good.
So, we're in a bit of a chase sequence here. Each turn, you can choose to do something with your action or dash. It's probably going to take 3 turns to get out of this tunnel for all of you. At the moment, I think Ceirydos, with your additional movement, is further. Ceirydos and Skip, you can also use your bonus action to use your appropriate skills to move even further. if you need to. If you want to act and do something to try and stop anything getting close to you, you can do that instead, but then you can only move your standard movement. Okie dokie. Let's start with... So they're going to take the initiative, and they'll go first, and then I'll go round rather than rolling initiative for this sort of situation. So you hear some of them kind of moving into the tunnel. I think at this point, with the fire, you can see these forms dropping. It's 3, 4, 5 of them coming in, and that shrill shrieking, and you can feel their minds pressing, trying to find you. And the professor underneath Ceirydos' arm says, "I can't block that many of them at this range. They have found you. Sorry."
No matter.
Skip, I think you are slightly ahead at this point.
Well, I guess for the first lot of things, provided that they can see that everybody's kind of okay. Is Tulip just kind of like a bit slow on their feet, or are they actually like in peril as such?
They're close. The person who's most in peril is definitely Tiberius. Tulip is the next closest to these things, and then Ceirydos and the Doctor, and finally you. You're just a little further ahead at this point.
I think if everybody seems that nobody's in immediate peril as such, like because that Tulip hasn't fallen over their own mayonnaise, etc., and are prone on the floor or whatever. If everybody's in a position to run, I'll just move action dash, bonus action dash.
Awesome. So you make it further down there, and you're probably about a third of the way down the tunnel already. And then we will go to Ceirydos.
I think Ceirydos, in their excitement to run, went ahead and went very quickly and turned around and realized that they should probably wait for everybody else. So Ceirydos is actually going to go ahead and hold their ground and make sure that that Tulip and Tiberius are able to catch up. So they'll actually go ahead and just stay where they are, and they'll hold the Doctor in a way where if he wants to continue forward without Ceirydos, he can. But Ceirydos will kind of look to him and say, "I need to protect them, but if you want to keep going, you can."
Oh goodness! And you see the Doctor's go next. He kind of jumps off of Ceirydos, and he kind of skitters away. But you kind of notice that he's much slower than everybody else. His legs that he doesn't really know how to work, and he kind of does all this as he kind of moves and bumps into things.
I'll pick you back up in a little bit.
Tulip, how would you like to maneuver this situation?
I'll try to get out of the mayonnaise and run as fast as possible.
You're going to use your action to dash?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this little bullet of a kobold zooms past Ceirydos at this point. Does Tulip make any noises as they're worried and running?
Just a little bit with his claws, kind of.
Skittering around, so no sort of like audible sort of or anything along those lines.
Just very tiny.
So this little tiny familiar skitter as this little tiny kobold zooms probably through your legs at this point.
You're safe. You're just like, yay. Go, little one.
I think Tulip catches up to the Doctor, no problem, and you're a little bit behind Skip at this point. Tiberius, these things are close to you now. It doesn't feel safe to take them on by yourself, but I'm not your dad. You can do what you need to do.
There's the wreckage of the tunnel collapse, and on the other side is all these creatures who are starting to kind of make their way through the holes.
Yeah.
And then in front
They're
of
falling
me,
into the corridor as well.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's too risky. I had a way that could have brought us more time, but if I roll badly, I'm stuck. So I am going to just full movement dash straight down, as much of the movement as I can possibly muster, to try and get far away.
Perfect. You're up to Ceirydos and the Doctor and Tulip at this point. You are probably, I'd say, like just probably going to take you the full next 2 rounds to get out. I think Skip could probably get out 1 more round with a dash. So they start skittering towards you. They are fast, but they are not actively running you down. It's almost like they still can't quite see you. They're just aware you're there. I think from where you can see, you see the good doctor has you can see the psychic energy kind of bubbling around his brain as he's trying to keep you as hidden as you possibly can. One of them does manage to get up to Tiberius. Can I have a quick dexterity saving throw from you?
We might actually be okay. 19.
19, yes. Razor sharp claws kind of skit out, and you kind of just back away just at the right minute as it gets very close. Kind of probably scratches the edge of your coat a little bit, but doesn't do you any harm.
There's a little squeal as he goes backwards. It's like,
Skip.
Seeing that everybody is running, I guess that Skip will... Does this passage kind of end in the ship, or do we end up sort of in the... further into the space station?
Probably further into the space station. Given what Tiberius told you, it seems likely you'll be in the outer dock area where your ship is currently situated.
Cool. If that's the case, then Skip will bonus action dash move.
Cool. You break into this open area where I will describe once the rest of your friends join you. Is there anything else you want to... so action, poff, off you go. You watch Skip like a bullet disappear down the corridor. Ceirydos.
Ooh, yeah, I'll go ahead and start dash, but rather than a double dash, I will go ahead and try to scoop up the doctor as I run.
Yep, that's perfect. Tulip, you kind of see this huge form kind of burst past you into Tiberius, scooping up the doctor and just kind of getting further ahead. If you get to your, if you kind of dash on your next turn, you'll be free in the same place. And so, Tulip, the doctor is, by the way, starting to swear in different languages that you've not heard before again.
Oh, lovely.
Tulip was just about to didn't really know what to do with the professor, so he was trying to push the jar, but then Ceirydos picks it up before he manages to do that, so he just gathers himself up again and runs as fast as he can, because he's seen that now Ceirydos has everything under control.
Given Tulip's stature and their kind of background and the way that kobolds kind of operate as a team much more easily than some other species do, if you want to, and it's completely up to you, I will allow you to make a dexterity check to see if you can grab hold of Ceirydos and just kind of go with the flow.
Yes. Yes.
That would be fantastic.
Okay, 13.
13. It's not tidy, but Ceirydos now has a brain in the jar under one arm and a kobold sort of clambering up the back.
It's like a kitten on the trouser legs.
Exactly like that. Looking slightly confused. Which leaves poor Tiberius back at the last with these things hot on your heels.
I think Tiberius has got a plan. He's going to try and only take one, just take his normal movement.
Okay.
He's then going to call out to Ceirydos and the rest of the party and go, get to the end and start closing the door. Don't worry about me. I'll make it. I should make it. And he's going to try an attack roll again and collapse another part of the tunnel.
Beautiful. Yes.
To try and buy some more time. Let's see what he gets. 16.
16 hits again. Yes. Roll me some damage.
So it's 4d6. Ooh. rogue dice there. Sonny wants to go on his own little venture. 1, 6, 10, 13 this time.
You don't roll additional damage. You're not actually a rogue.
No.
Excellent. I think that's enough to bring down another one of these bulkheads onto some of them. You do crush some of them, and that similar feeling, like kind of that itch in the back of your brain, as these things call out, shrieking. And
I mean, at this point, because the plasma launcher has to cool down between turns, and because he hasn't let it properly cool down, like the core on this is now starting to get really, really hot. He's only got one shot left in it before it overheats.
Okay. At your own peril. You do manage to slow you completely crush the one that's on your heels.
Yeah.
As you kind of do this wild shot into the ceiling just above you as you move. And you do slow down those behind you. So in terms of action, they can't get on top of you this turn. They have to get through the rubble. And they do. But it does buy you a little bit more time. Top of the round, they are busy, so that means Skip, you are out into the open area. There is a control panel that you can see, and you do hear Tiberius's words.
Wrong person for this. Skip, just for context, Skip is not from space. Skip is from Exandria, so has never seen anything that looks like this in his life. So what Skip does is goes, "Okay, Tibbs, got you," and just begins mashing buttons with his fists until something happens.
I feel like there needs to be some sort of roll for comedy value at least. Can I get a tech roll with disadvantage?
Absolutely. You can absolutely have that, Chris.
You are a halfling though, so if you do roll a 1, don't forget you get to reroll.
Yeah, my roll 20 will automatically do that for me. Skip is truly the luckiest halfling on the planet. So a 21, obviously, high roll doesn't count, but a 19 is the lower of the two.
19.
Wow.
You've never seen a panel like this. You're absolutely certain you don't know what it's doing. You hit your fist against it, and this little sort of door symbol kind of flashes up on this symbol and says, with an arrow, and you're like, oh, I'll just slide my fist along. And you hear the mechanism start to go, and these blast doors slowly start to close. I think from Ceirydos and Tulip's position, you can see the entrance starting to get smaller. Ceirydos, you are the movement for everybody else apart from poor Tiberius.
Yes.
If that was my action, sorry, can I just use my movement to run back towards the end, like this closing door, and just hold my hands out just in case that Ceirydos needs to throw the doctor at me?
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, absolutely love that. Perfect. So Ceirydos, you are charging with most of the party on your person.
Yes. Yeah, I would just full dash, bonus action dash. And I think I'd be so, like, because I know I've got multiple people on my person, I think I'd be so focused I'd probably just barrel right past Skip. I wouldn't even notice. Like, it's like Skip's holding out their hands and I just go right next to him.
Ceirydos managed to make it out with Tulip and the good doctor tucked on their person, like coming to a halt in the middle of this open corridor. Which leaves Tiberius, unless Tulip would like to do anything to try and help the situation.
I don't think he would.
How?
He's
Like
Sorry?
distance-wise, so how far away is Tiberius? Is it like a dash and then there's like 15 feet left after that?
I think with a dash, you will make it out this turn.
Okay.
Or I'm
Focus on
wondering-
getting out. Because I have a contingency. If I don't make it in a dash, I can make myself go further.
Okie dokie, that's interesting. See if you need it or not.
Yeah.
See what Tulip's got up there, their coat sleeves. Is there anything you can do? You don't have to. Don't feel obliged to, but
Yeah, I'm thinking, but no. I feel like if I try to like shoot something, I'm going to shoot Tiberius. People in chat were suggesting we put the doctor into the mayonnaise jar, but I'm not so sure about that.
Doctor is a little too big to go in the mayonnaise. Although, bag of holding, if any of you had one of those, that would probably be a safer way to carry him at the moment.
Yeah, no, I'll just stay on my ride.
Excellent. And if you want to, you can prepare a shot if you need to.
Oh, yeah.
If anything
Okay,
is
well,
on Tiberius's heels.
That I can do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, prepared in action just in case. Tiberius, what would you like to do? You think you can sprint and just get behind those doors before they finish closing?
So I'm going to take my full dash.
Yep.
And if that doesn't work, I'm not on the other side of the door. I am going to pull out a little device that's about palm of your hand. It's got a big red button on it and loads of wires coming out of it. And the reason why I needed the doors to close is because as long as I can see it, it's a blink button. So cool. I press the button and I teleport to the other side of the door.
Oh.
Yeah.
As long as I can see it, I can teleport to it.
That
within
is
15
awesome.
feet.
Gadgeteers. So much fun. Excellent. What we'll do is you can definitely reach the doors, no problem, and probably have enough movement to get through the doors, but I'm going to need you to make a quick acrobatics check to see if you can angle yourself, because you're moving. I think you're probably just wild.
Yes, like full on wild running now.
Yeah.
To try and get out of this.
Just full Johnny Depp running.
Yep. Oh no. Ooh, that's a 3 lowered to 1.
Oh no! So you careen in, and somehow, amazingly, there's mayonnaise on the bottom of your boot, and you lose your footing in the last minute, and nearly slam into the side of the door. You do have enough time to hit your blink button if you would rather do that, or they are going to be on the same side of the door as you, closed.
Yeah, I'm going to hit the blink button. That's it. Panic over. Just touch it, blink, disappear, and reappear on the floor on the other side of the door.
Amazing. So the rest of you, you watch as Tiberius kind of loses his footing in the last minute, skids off to the side, and you hear the clang against the door as he bumps into it, and then the door just. You do hear nothing for a second, and then Tiberius, does this button make any sound?
I think when you press it, it makes like a high pitch, kind of like, those Star Trek kind of like teleporter noises, kind of. Yeah. Like press it and just sort of beam and then disappear and reappear on the other side.
So you kind of hear this twinkling energy sound behind you, and you all turn around. And how does Tiberius look?
Petrified, like he'd seen a ghost. Just like white skin. As he wasn't expecting to slip at the last minute and hit the door. So he's sort of terrified, holding his arm slightly from the impact of hitting steel.
Your friend
I'm alive. Just. Whew.
Skip will run over to Tibbs and help him get up as best he can. Come on, let's no time to dawdle. There's probably more of those things. Let's go.
Yep. I'm with you. Just oh god.
And I feel like that is a really good place for us to take a quick break. So we will be back in about 10 minutes. Everybody given an opportunity to stretch, watch the wonderful videos in between. Donate where you can. We're trying to get some really good some prizes coming out as well as raising for such a wonderful cause and that. We will be back in about 10 minutes. See you shortly.
Bye.
Before the break, our industrious quartet of adventurers managed to escape death by Roth in a dark tunnel by ingeniously closing a door on them and collapsing half the tunnel behind them. Only some minor mayonnaise mishaps preventing the party from having to use resources to do so. But some quick thinking from Tiberius, making his escape safely. As you stand and breathe and kind of catch your breath amongst yourselves, you kind of can look around and see where you are for the first time, and probably since you kind of entered the dark. And you're in a larger open area. This is kind of like a docking, like a waiting area beyond the docking area, and painted beyond that is Docking Bay 7, which you know is where your ship is currently waiting for you. The door is sealed, but it is not broken. You can open it easily enough, and it doesn't seem to be anybody else about. What would you like to do?
Well, I think the first thing from Tiberius' point of view is to, first of all, take that plasma launcher and just deliberately vent the heat out of it. So there's just this big hissing as like these streams of heat, just sort of like anyone standing nearby will just feel this immense heat. It's just there like venting it and shaking it, like, come on, out you get. Before, you know.
The only person who's
put back
immediately close to you at this point is Skip, who's sort of came over to give you a hand up.
Yeah, Skip rubs their hands together and puts
Does Tiberius go to explain why that's so dangerous and then give up? Because it's probably about the 5th or 6th time this has happened.
Yeah, it's like, you do realise plasma burns your hands, right? It's like,
That's fine. It's nice and toasty. Space is cold.
we don't have time to do this.
Well, that was exciting. That was the Roth, by the way. Roth, party of lucky people who got to rescue me. So I'm jamming their psychic projections as much as I possibly can, but it's not possible to stop it. They are a hive mind and they're incredibly capable.
Seems like it's probably a good idea to try to leave.
Yes, leaving would definitely be our best option. I would offer to help technologically, but I am not versed in any way, shape, or form in how psychic stuff works.
Oh, it's kind of like big electromagnets, really, to be fair, but with brains.
Okay, I can work with that, but maybe not now for the party's safety.
Probably for the best. Ceirydos and Tulip, you're kind of with the Doctor at this point in time, who is happy for you to put him down at this juncture if you want to.
True.
He just kind of clatters around. Very brave. Not quite certain about the mayo use, but I can see where you were going for that. That was quite clever. Shall we?
I
Yeah.
think we shall. How equipped is our ship for combat?
Your ship is like a low transport vessel. It's good enough, and particularly after Tiberius and Tulip have had a play with some of its systems and magitech. So it's probably faster than it is strong. It's not built for a long... You wouldn't want to go up against like a capital vessel or anything much bigger. That wouldn't be wise, but you could probably fight off several fighters or something similar to your own size.
Sure. Okay.
If you had to. So you kind of sneak across the deck, keeping an eye out, and get to the sealed door. You can see that it's basically just been closed. It's not been locked or anything like that. It's just waiting for someone to open it using the panel.
I think at this point, even though Tiberius knows exactly what button to press, given that Skip has proven himself, amazing with door buttons, it's just going to let Skip press the button if he wants to.
Well, to the spaceship. I think it's probably the one button in the universe he actually knows what it does.
This is to go into the docking bay where your spaceship is.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Skip reaches up for the button and then realizes that at 3'2" is probably about 2 inches too short for it, so jumps up and bats the button open.
The door slides open, revealing a large area on the other side, and your ship sitting on a docking platform in the far distance.
I'd like to possibly do a perception check just to like cast eyes around the area.
Yep.
Out of pure paranoia at this rate.
I think I'll let you save your roll for that, because I think that immediately you start casting your eyes to see what's around, you see blaster fire. Not at you, but just across the deck. And you see several of those Rothians, the Roth, bounding, and one particularly large one, and lots of those smaller ones that you saw before. And on the other side, you see androids, human-based androids in a familiar tech suit that marks them as corporate hired muscle, blasting back. They are in your way, unfortunately. This fight is happening in the middle of the bay. You will have to fight your way through them to get to your ship.
Okay. How do we want to do this? I have an idea. As per usual, it is stupid and risky, but if it works, it may help us.
Okay.
I love stupid ideas.
I can go invisible. I can sneak up to the androids. Well, I'd have to sneak to sprint at them, I guess. I could disable all of their blasters, leaving them vulnerable to the Roth. The downside is that when I activate it, I would become visible and my own blasters would stop working. So I would also be defenseless temporarily.
Who do we see as the bigger threat?
They seem to be kind of on each other. The unknown factor in this is that big Roth. They seem to be holding back. Little ones seem to be kind of closing the gap, like avoiding the blaster fire. The androids are very well equipped and well armed, as you'd sort of expect someone from like a business corp. I think from here you can make out the symbol, or an inverted tau symbol above a star and an inverted triangle, marking them as part of the Tau Star Corporation.
Okay. It's your guys' call. I could disable them.
In a freeway fight like this, you probably stand more of a chance against this number of people, because they will have each other to consider as well as you if you're cautious and careful. And there may be an opportunity in the fight for you to turn certain situations to your advantage.
Yeah.
But Tiberius's plan does have merit too. But it would activate, mechanically, it would activate initiative with Tiberius weaponless in the middle of the firefight.
Yeah. It's just how much risk you guys want to take. Actually, one other question about this is, where all this fighting is happening, is there like an upper deck?
No, not here. It's just an open area. There's a lot of in fact, I would jump you over on your map. Josh, if you can hear me and you can jump the audience over, they can have a look at the layout. So I've kind of put you behind some boxes over here at the minute. They haven't actively seen you yet, but you can see the layout of how this fight is going.
Okay.
So the ship is beyond here.
And I'm guessing those there's like cargo containers, sort of like those. Can I ping? There you go. So there's like cargo containers there.
Yeah, sure. They are. Yeah. So you can use those cargo. You can use cargo boxes. Sorry, I think Josh just stepped away. But if he's not back yet, I'll just describe it for the audience as well. So what they have is an open deck with a raised platform at the back. There are 4 androids and 4 of the smaller Roth and 1 bigger Roth in between them and the platform. A number of boxes and barrels and the like just litter the floor, which can be used as used for hiding, like suppressing fire and adding cover for those of you who need to for add to your armor class and the like. There we go. So, what would you like to do?
Silly idea / question. If we were to theoretically sneak to the ship and engage the ship's guns, what's the difference between a ship's is a ship's gun exponentially more damaging than whatever? Could we turn the ship's guns on these things?
Generally speaking, when you're docked in a space like this, they automatically suppress your guns so that you can't do that sort of thing.
Well, there we go.
You might be able to hack your way forward through it. It's a really good idea. It's certainly something to think to, but you know for a start that Perseus Station doesn't allow inside. Apart from anything else, you might hit the hull and blast everybody into space. So
Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
How dare they thought this out? Rude.
Using Ares, is there any way that I could potentially connect to the androids and even temporarily program them to us as being friendly?
I don't know what your skills are. These are androids, not robots. So they are built around human brains and things. So it's unlikely you'll be able to make them on your side, but you can certainly, if you have those sorts of skills, you can probably turn off parts of their equipment and the like instead.
Yeah. So I got things like circuitry kit. Yeah, this is just tech and data mostly are the two sort of. I think with that kind of stuff. Well, the good news is, based on distance, I wouldn't have to get so close to disable them, as I can activate it. It's a 60-foot radius around me that it disables it, so I wouldn't have to run straight into the middle. I could probably get some cover and then activate it.
Yeah.
If you want to try that.
I'm genuinely at the point, gang, where I'm just like, well, I'm relatively close and I can move 75 feet. What if I just get to the ship and start warming it up and you guys just dead spread to the ship and we just hot exit? Don't have to fight them.
I would be concerned about there being damage to the ship on our way out.
And also without trying to, in the most diplomatic way possible, which Tiberius doesn't really do, how is a non-spacefaring halfling going to spin up a ship quickly?
I'm the ship's pilot. It's the one thing I know how to do. It's the one thing I know how to do.
There's a difference between holding the wheel and spooling up the engines.
I mean, he has obviously retrofitted it or whatever you call it with the steering wheel and everything. So,
turning the ship on is literally the one thing I know how to do.
Piloting skill, actually, because most people in the verse have some basic piloting skill, unless they opt not to have. Piloting indicates that you are above and beyond the average pilot. Basically, so it's the equivalent. It's a difference between, so for example, everyone can horse ride in normal Dungeons and Dragons, but only someone with animal handling can make that horse do amazing things, that sort of thing. So it is indeed the one thing that you know that Skip is very good at, and stabbing things. He's very good at stabbing things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get you guys to all roll initiative, because I think we're going to move. I think even whatever you decide to do, we're going to go into actions now, and whether you want to engage these forces or not, they will have actions. As soon as you start moving, they'll see you as well. So,
okay,
cool.
Okay, that's initiative roll.
Okay, what I'll do is I will call out to each of you in turn. Skip.
10.
10. Hedge, can I have Tiberius's?
1.
Cool. Can I have Tulips, please, Frida?
11.
Awesome. And last but not least, can I have Ceirydos' please, Moira?
10. Or sorry, not 10. 7.
7. Cool. Nobody rolling off against each other. So, unfortunately, all these forces do get to go before you. They're ever so slightly faster.
That will change the plans.
That will change things a little bit.
Yep.
So, first off, slightly faster are the Roth. You guys haven't acted yet, so they haven't actively seen you, so I'm going to give that one to you for nothing. That's fine. This one here will charge down here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. This one will charge up to this one. This one leaps over here onto this guy, and this one just charges forward. The big guy comes around the corner, and I think it's at this point that he spots Tiberius, and he starts clicking something in that awful sort of sound that the Roth make. There is some engagement between them. The Roth do some damage to these first two androids here. And then the androids open fire back, causing some damage to the Roth in turn. These two will fall back slowly, still opening fire as they go, and that will make it Tulips go.
Yeah. What did we do with our plan?
I think we threw it.
Worked out.
I think we threw it away.
Sorry,
Throw them
guys.
out the window, so we're
Yeah.
following your lead here, Tulip.
So yeah.
Ceirydos looks prepared to
Sorry.
fight if that helps you at all.
25.
So the plans that were suggested was Tibbs could run in and activate his big blast people button, but it would leave him in danger. Or Skip could run past the whole thing, try and get the ship up and running, and then things started to move because your conversation they hadn't stopped fighting. So.
Yeah.
14. Okay, I am. Tulip is going to take his big alchemy jar off his back and start getting out mayonnaise from it and putting it in these vials, and I will hold an action until someone gets say within 25 feet.
Within 25 feet. Cool. Right. You remember that because I'll have a lot more to remember than you do. So.
No worries, I will.
Awesome. Skip, what would you like to do?
Right, gang, are we fighting or not? Real quick. Yes or no?
We're gonna have to fight somehow, aren't we?
Cool. Okay. Can I move through this space here, Chris? Because it's semi-boxed.
You can go diagonal around that box. I think that's just slipping around for Skip. It's no problem.
5, 10, 15, 20.
I'll allow you a free perception check whilst you are there.
Coolio. There's the rolls we've been waiting for, gang. That's
Nothing. Don't worry. Carry on.
cool, no worries. So that's 25. So what I will do is I will bonus action dash, go 5, 10, and stab this thing with my rapier.
Oof.
With inspiration. I told you. There we go. 15.
15 does not hit. Your your rapier pings off of some of that effective space metal that you've seen a lot of people
And then I
wearing.
will continue on my happy way. 5, 10, 15. It doesn't get an opportunity attack because I'm a swashbuckler rogue. If I make
That
a
is
melee
right.
attack against things, I can move freely away from them.
Yeah, so you just dance away. So Skip just runs up to this guy, tries to stab it, pings off against his armor, and he just dances away in the way that you've seen him do so many times before. That's your go over. at Ceirydos.
Yay. Okay. Ceirydos is going to just go ahead and just kind of this hulking figure just kind of start walking up to whatever's closest and start punching. So I will go ahead and walk over to this roth that is closest by.
Awesome. The slightly animalistic roth that's on the down low.
Yeah, I approach it very calmly and I just like almost without even like a sudden gear shift basically, like I just walk up to it like peacefully and then just like right in the horns.
I love that, it's brilliant.
With an unarmed strike, I'll go ahead and see if the first one hits. Ooh, that's a crit right away. That's
amazing.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Roll me
painful.
that juicy damage.
Let's see. Is it gonna roll the way that it needs to? For a crit?
No, but it didn't.
No, it didn't. Do you want to roll it again, and then you can add the two together?
Yes.
And we'll just -4 from the second number.
Perfect. Where's the next? Well, there's a 4.
Yes, it was 4. So,
There we go.
see, it's 11 damage. Well, it's 11 damage, we'll call that. Awesome. So you kind of run in and pop.
Yep.
Is there any particular flow or way that Ceirydos moves when they attack?
Let's see. Yeah, no, it's very I think the best way to describe it, unfortunately, is almost like uncanny valley. Like it's very, you see this big hulking figure moving with this like deftness of a very like lithe small creature almost. So it's like it's almost imperceptible, like this just sudden punch from this big creature. It's like, oh, that shouldn't be able to do that. So I think that was one unarmed strike, correct? We did the.
That's right. You get 2 attacks before
get
you.
a second one, and then I will also flurry as well.
Yeah, do it.
So here's to hit.
Monks
This
are gonna-
poor psychic creature's getting blunted to death.
Yeah. 22 to hit.
22 will
Imagine
hit.
hits.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'd be very mean if I put you against a creature that 22 didn't hit.
You never know. There's a 9 for bludgeoning, and then
Yep.
I will spend my key point
Mhm.
to do my flurry of blows. That's a 10. It's a 10 hit.
10 does not hit, I'm afraid, but you do
That's
have another
okay.
attack.
I have another one.
Yes,
If you
flurry of
spend the
blows.
key point for Flurry of Blows, it's
Oh,
2
right.
attacks. If you don't,
Yeah.
you can just do one with your offhand for it.
That's right.
Got
Yep.
it. Try one more time. That's better. That's a 25.
25 will hit.
And here we go for 8.
Excellent. Moira, would you please describe how Ceirydos absolutely obliterates this poor
Wow.
creature?
My goodness. Yeah. I think it's almost frightening. Ceirydos is a very calm creature, but they do take protection very seriously, especially with others. And they do it in a respectful way, I think, where it's not, they wouldn't go up to it and just like bash it. Like it's a very targeted, almost like pressure points, specific points in the body where it's clearly meant to kill, but it's meant to do it in whatever is the swiftest way possible. So it's almost still an honorable death for the creature. So it's just a sudden thump, 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 and it just kind of goes limp.
It's something interesting as well, like when you strike the points, they're not quite right, but they are still where they should be. It's almost like someone's tried to redesign a humanoid.
Interesting.
And it kind of slumps to the ground and just kind of twitches a bit. Releases that pulse again, like kind of you feel it in your brain, but it doesn't do you any damage. It's kind of like almost like it's just crying out to the hive. Like it's basically the roth equivalent of why.
Oh no! And with that, I gain 9 temporary hit points from my touch of death.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Awesome. Have you got any movement left? think-
I moved I was here, I believe, so I go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Yes, I can go ahead and go position myself in front of the next foe. I'll just walk over and stand
Awesome.
in front of this man.
Cool. Who looks a little bit more intimidated.
Yeah, I just went and swiftly destroyed someone and just went, all right, you're next.
This normally
walk towards
unemotive,
him.
this normally unemotive cyborg face just kind of looks a little bit worried at this point. Tibbs, it is your go.
Oh, right. So I think for Tiberius, it's going to be a case of 5, 10, 15, 20. He can get to probably about there, running across the edge of the wall. And then, what's the range on this? Let me just double check. I think all of his weapons should, 80 to 40. So,
Nice.
I'm gonna say that he's gonna try and fire his plasma launcher at the Roth or the android. At the android, I think.
The android, yeah.
Yep. So fire it towards the android. So that's that's an attack roll, which is +2. So that's a 5. That's not gonna hit.
No, it goes a little wide, I'm afraid.
In that case, he is going to bonus action activate his force field projector.
Cool.
Sort of like it's part of his multi-gadget that sort of transforms into a kind of like a handheld. You kind of think, like the handles of the shields. We used to have a handle of one of them, just sort of press the button and it casts a shield around him. Until the start of my next turn, I can add my intelligence modifier to my armor class. So I'm now AC 14 rather than AC 10.
Brilliant. That will help. Because they do know where you are now. So, top of the round, we'll start with the big guy. He is concerned about the big gout of fire that just blasted near his little fellow, so he's actually going to stomp over here, sees Tiberius behind the barrels, and is going to, has a large crystalline rod which he pulls off of his back as he comes round the corner. And he's going to try and hit you with that twice.
Well, the good news is I've got it off your backs.
The first one is would actually be a 19, and the second one is a dirty 20. I'm afraid.
Let's just hope that he rolls low damage.
We can but hope. So, just let me put this in. So he does 13 damage with the first one.
Ooh, okay.
And 11 with the second one, I'm afraid.
So that's 24.
24 damage.
24. Let me just subtract that.
Yep.
That is not good.
And I need you to make a very quick wisdom check for me.
Okay. Is that wisdom saving?
Wisdom save, yes.
Wisdom
please.
save, okay. 10.
10. It's not quite enough, so you do take an additional 4 psychic damage.
So that's what, 28 altogether?
I'm afraid so, yes.
Okay.
That was both of his hits, though.
Okay, so that takes me down to... I mean, Tiberius at this point is looking very, very beat up. Like the crystal rod just shatters straight through the force field, and his coat is very much ripped up and very bloodied right now.
You just remembered, everybody, that I did give you a medi-pack at the beginning, so if you do need to use it, it's a bonus action to use it on yourself or an action on anybody else. So that will make it... So these are engaged with each other, so they will do some damage to each other. This one is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. It's going to move within range of Tulip.
Yeah.
not being aware that the small kobold is there. It's kind of skipping around, trying to find a way to get behind the big thing that just obliterated its buddy. What would you like to make your
Tulip
attack?
is going to take the 2 vials of mayonnaise and throw one of them, and I'm going to do an acid splash, which is a Dex 15 save.
Yep, no problem. Just bear with me whilst I... Ooh, it's a natural 1 for a grand total of 4. Does not see this coming at all.
The chat's just saying Mayomancer.
Mayomancer.
For it's 2d6, yeah. Total of 8 damage.
8 damage, nice. Thank you so much. 8 acid damage as well.
Yeah.
So this thing kind of skips forward. It seems to be squaring up to try and pounce on your friend. As you do, you kind of launch this bottle of mayonnaise that you deliberately made go off. And it kind of splashes all over him. You can see the hissing on his armor as he kind of takes a lot of damage. And it squeaks unhappily. Brilliant. That will make it Ceirydos' go.
Ceirydos will look at the android and just say, "I'll be right back," and go ahead and walk the length of this deck over to where Tiberius is being cornered at the moment.
So I would like somebody to just roll me a quick dice and tell me if it's odd or even, and we'll just decide whether this how scared this android is right at this minute.
Sorry, also, Chris, did you miss Skip and Tulip there? Because I think that Tulip and Skip go before Ceirydos, right?
Yeah, you're right. My apologies. I will get back round to you. Sorry about that. That's my fault. I have written. I wrote Ceirydos instead of Cyborg. So that is why that happened.
Perfect. Okay, well, you know my intentions.
Yeah. Cool. So that will make it Tulip's go again.
Yeah. So after he's thrown his mayonnaise on that one, he's going to put the other one under his arm, and he's going to take out some other potions and pour a bit of powder into his hands.
Yep.
And he will sort of blow the powder towards these people here for fairy fire.
Oh, awesome! So they need to make
yeah.
dexterity saving throws.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they all have the same dex save, so that does make things easier. What's your DC, please?
15.
Well, this is not going well.
And
Oof.
Jolly good rolling there, Chris.
Yeah, they all fail, so you all have advantage against all 4 of those targets. The nice thing is they also have advantage against each other.
They are very glittery and shiny now.
Fantastic.
And I will move because Tulip has realized that he's falling behind. I wonder. Let's see.
Where would you like to go?
Maybe I will go over here. Is that right?
Wonderful.
And no, that's it.
Fantastic. So, that will make it Skip's go.
Alright, gang, sorry, I'm gonna go do a stupid. Chris, theoretically, let's just say theoretically, if Skip was to run to the ship and start the ship up, could Ship pilot the ship in this hangar? If I went to go and run and go drive it over to get Tiberius to rescue him.
So, yes, it might take you a few rounds to do it, and it's how well your friends can survive during those rounds. That's the thing I would say. So it's a payoff on that one.
In all fairness, I'm nowhere near, like, I'm nowhere particularly near any combats except for this one that Ceirydos is obviously handling very nicely.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what I'm going to go do.
Okie dokie. So your exit is around about here, which I think you can do with your action and stuff like that.
Yeah, if I need to use cunning action to do so, I will.
Okay, cool.
So I've got 75 feet of movement, basically, to play with if I need it.
So I think you get deep within the ship with that.
Cool.
It will probably be next round you get to the actual cockpit.
Console.
Yeah,
Sure.
and start cycling the ship up, which kind of does give you guys another situation. Which if the ship is cycling up, which I think I would say takes 2 rounds to do. If you are all on board at that time, you can escape.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm just going to take Skip off the. I'm going to put Skip here so we know where.
Yeah,
he
that's all
is. But he's off the board effectively. That's brilliant. Now it's Ceirydos' go.
Cool. Yeah, Ceirydos will go ahead and basically do as I said. They'll look at the android and just kind of, I'll be right back.
Awesome. I am just going to roll a d4.
Perfect.
Odd. So he's presently too scared to he just kind of nods as you walk away, and his mate from Solo goes, "Oi!"
Excellent. So I'll walk past. I'll specifically make sure I kind of avoid that opportunity range of this roth here.
Yep.
I will make my way over to the big guy. And I'll basically look at him and say, pick on someone slightly closer to your size.
Yes, Ceirydos, go off, my friend. I love it.
Amazing. This thing doesn't respond, it just sort of hisses and clicks. Yeah. Go.
Now, so I have an action called Hour of Reaping, in which I can potentially frighten people with a wisdom save. And it says each creature within 30. Would that include friendlies or not? I think struggle with the wording on that.
Because just read it for me again.
It says you gain the ability to unsettle or terrify those around you as an action. When you take this action, each creature within 30 feet of you that can see you. So
it says each, rather than creatures you choose, so it would affect Tulip in this instance and Tiberius.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that then. So I will go ahead and let's see. I will take my quarterstaff and try to hit the giant roth with a stunning strike if possible.
Yes, go for it.
So here is the roll to hit. It is a 13.
Awesome. And it's a Constitution save for stunning strike. You don't quite hit with that one, I'm afraid.
That's okay.
This
I'll
one is
take one more attack attempt.
Yeah, he's got more of this bone structure than the little ones do. It's harder to hit.
How about a 17?
17 hits.
Great. And then with stunning strike, do I do the damage still from the weapon attack, or
You
is
do,
it just
yeah.
the strike? Okay, great.
Yep.
So I would be holding it with 2 hands. We get the versatile. Great, 4 damage. But I'm going to use that key point, and you must succeed on a con saving throw or be stunned.
I don't think he does. That's a grand total of 11.
Yes, it would have been a 14, so he is stunned.
He is
Tiberius
indeed.
time to gooey.
I'll just use that one for a minute. Cool. So you stunned until the beginning of your next go. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes,
End
to
it.
the end of your next turn.
End of your next turn. Excellent.
Next time.
Awesome. So he's not going anywhere or doing anything.
Perfection.
Is there anything else you would like to do?
Now, remind me, when he's stunned, is he still able to make attacks?
No.
No, great.
Literally can't do anything until the stun wears off. He's just kind of like woozy in space at the moment.
I think it's been made clear to us, right, that Skip's intention is to head out now that the ship is being kind of...
Yeah, so Skip's probably communicated to you on whatever little comm devices that we have is that he's going to go get the ship to come and rescue Tiberius, literally come drive by, pick him up.
Perfect.
So Skip isn't leaving you to die. He's coming. He's bringing the ship to help you.
Oh, he's bringing the ship further in. Okay. Then I think I would just stay right here. Or actually, I'll go ahead and move closer to Tulip.
Yep. Cool.
I've got about 10 feet left, so I'll stand right by Tulip in case someone approaches them. I can react to help them out. There we go.
Awesome. I've not put the doctor on here, but basically I'm saying that he's still hanging around with Ceirydos at the moment. It's kind of just attached to the back, this little brain jar.
Like a little backpack, yeah.
Weird sci-fi backpack. Awesome. Tibbs, you now have a very woozy Roth.
Yeah, so if I can't remember, does stunned give disadvantage on con saves?
I don't think it does. No.
Disadvantage on deck saves, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to take a bit of a risk, I think. I am going to pull out my gravity manipulator.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's like a little funnel-shaped pistol. And he has to make a Constitution saving throw. I'm going to use it on the big creature in front of me.
Well, this just
DC
roll
14.
Roll as well as I. Oh no, it's a 19. He does manage to shake that off, I'm afraid.
That's a shame because I could have just repelled him onto the wall behind me. In that case, I am going to try and find new cover. So I am going to. I think I'm going to bonus action blink button to the other side of the barrels.
Yep.
If I can see the other side. And then that would just leave me with my movement.
Yep.
Which I think I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 5. Sort of cozy up behind these bigger barrels here.
Awesome.
And just sort of stay there and hide.
Yep, no problem. That's awesome. So with that being over, it's the top of the round. The Roth is still stunned. These guys down here take each other out a little bit, leaving the floor a little clearer for you. This one here, however, will run up to Tulip, who's not happy with right now, and will try and slash at them with these sharp claws that they have.
Ow!
Nope, they completely failed that.
16 hits, though.
Is it 16? No, it wasn't. It was a 2 for a grand total of 7.
Okay. Great.
I think they go to kind of, and then it's like that wincing pain where they're kind of just a little acid burned and just kind of fall short.
When they attempt to attack, I am able to use my Sentinel attack and make attack against them.
Go for it.
So I will go ahead. I still have my quarterstaff out. I'll go ahead and it's almost like he reaches out towards Tulip and I just go, no, and just kind of whack him on the hand with my quarterstaff.
Amazing. Go for it.
A 23 to hit.
That will definitely hit.
And damage roll. I'm rolling a lot of ones. 4 damage.
It's actually enough, believe it or not. They're kind of big and slashy rather than tanky, so...
Perfect.
Did you just say believe it or Roth, by the way?
Believe it or not. My brain is going all over the place, so it would not surprise me.
Believe it or Roth.
Believe it or Roth. I'd like to say I did that deliberately, but I didn't. Cool, so yeah, you describe how you deck this particular one as they come up to you.
Oh, yeah, I think I almost I imagine. Actually, I'll change the wording a little bit since it's going down. Is I think it'll kind of try to make an attack at Tulip, and in its excitement towards lunging towards Tulip, I basically just put the quarterstaff very quickly in front of it to where it basically knocks itself out. It'll like go to lunge towards Tulip and then bangs into the quarterstaff and basically does itself in.
With its roll, I think that's perfect, and then you just pass it off. So it's gone. It's off the board.
Excellent.
The two cyborgs behind, however, will regain themselves a little bit, and both will open fire on these interlopers who they've been told to get rid of. So we need both of them to fire twice. That's not great. It would be really nice if I could roll higher than a 5. There we go. No, that's not much better. And the second
higher than a 5, though.
It is higher than a 5. Thank you, Roll20. And they are all over the place. All over the place. It is proper stormtrooper style shooting here. Like there's blasts everywhere. One of them even hits the Roth, which makes him angry. But it doesn't do any damage. There's just bullet hole, blaster fire everywhere, but nothing actually lands. Leaving you guys clear. So that will make it Tulip. It is your go. You have a pretty clear run at the ship at this point. If you want to do that.
Maybe. I would like to, though, while I'm in close proximity to Tiberius, use the opportunity to cast Healing Word.
Thank you.
Cool. How does Healing Word look for when Tulip casts it?
Yeah, I think actually out of his coat comes this blue little tiny squirrel-looking thing. And he also takes out a potion and gives it to the squirrel and says, "Okay, Gertrude, go to Tiberius." And the little squirrel skitters away with the potion and gives it to Tiberius.
Amazing. So those of you who are familiar with Dark, this is a Thrill, a psychic squirrel that is Tulip's pet and first love.
Yeah.
I have one question. Is the potion mayonnaise?
Oh, maybe. We'll see when
Don't make me drink mayonnaise.
Tiberius.
There's this gloopy substance in a
There are
blue
lots
vial.
of calories in mayonnaise. You'll have a lot of new energy.
Yeah, I think he picks up as well. He's used to Metagel and technological things, like arcane things are just like he's not opposed to them, but just tries to not have them in his life. So he sort of unbottles it and sort of like sniffs it for a second, and then it just goes, "Oh, nothing ventured, nothing gained," and just sort of necks it down like a shot. And just a sort of like look of horrors on his face as he gets like the taste of mayonnaise.
And I rolled a 4, so 4, 8, and 12.
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
That's
that actually
really
takes
well
me
done.
back. Yeah, that takes me back up above half.
Very well done.
Goodness.
Cool.
And then he'll just hold his little arm out for Gertrude to come back to him, and then he's going to just leg it towards the ship.
Fantastic. You still have an action because Healing Word is
Yeah.
bonus action. So if you'd like to dash, you can,
Yeah.
or if you'd like to do something else.
I will dash to the ship.
Awesome.
Do I get that far? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you get about that far. I think that's fine. That's awesome. Cool. Skip, you are on board the ship and you can get to the console at this point and start cycling up the ship if you need to.
Well, do you want me to tell everybody what the console looks like?
Yeah, go for it. I think that's...
So the console, as previously established, Skip doesn't understand how to use buttons, and therefore when it was worked out that Skip could actually, in fact, pilot stuff, he had the console completely retrofitted to look like a full ship's pirate wheel. like an old school like navigator's sailing wheel with a box to stand on because so they can see over the top. So yeah, Skip begins to cycle through and starts turning on the systems to come to a flyby.
Lovely. Make a piloting check. Not because it's going to make any difference to the fact you can cycle up, but just to see if it makes it quicker.
26.
That makes it quicker. So the ship will be ready to move next turn for you. If everybody is on board at that point, you can leave the station. Just so you know. If not, you'll be much closer to getting out anyway. Brilliant. Is there anything else you'd like to do with your turn?
No, I'm good. I will just begin to cycle the ship up.
Awesome. Ceirydos, what would you like to do?
Beautiful. I think I will look to Tiberius to kind of gauge whether he needs help getting to the ship. Does he seem like, has the mayonnaise fully, does he have some pep in his step now? Does he...
He's above half health now.
Okay, great. Ceirydos is almost looking at you with their hands outstretched, like, do you want me to carry you? I can come pick you up. That's been my job today.
He's just there, sort of like ushering, like pointing towards the ship. It's like,
okay, great.
Ah.
Great. Ceirydos will give a big thumbs up and scoop up the doctor on their way wherever the doctor is with the dash.
Doctor. Still sitting on your back.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so I will go ahead and dash. I will dash and I will make a pit stop over by the android on my way to the ship, and just let him know that he has been spared for today, but death is inevitable for us all, and to use his time wisely. And then I will go to the ship.
I'm going to have him make a wisdom saving throw at this point.
Beautiful.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't flee the battlefield. He just looks confused at this point. He's not absolutely like he's pretty scared of you in general, but he's just kind of like, as opposed to so,
Imparting wisdom.
Contemplating that death will come for all of us one day.
One day.
Brilliant.
Great, and I will meet everyone at the ship.
Tibbs, you are alone out here at the moment.
I think I have enough movement that I can dash. So give me a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. So I can get to there. And if that's not enough to get on the ship, I only need 15 feet. So it'll be literally yet again, blink button, straight onto the ship.
So you're going to blink onto the ship.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so Tibbs disappears in that way that you actually have seen and you're probably used to. So kind of as he kind of slides near the ship, just that energy kind of field appears around him, and you hear him probably bump into something inside the ship.
Definitely. Yeah. Like he predicts the blink too far, and sort of. I'm gonna roll. Let's see if he hits like small or big. Why not?
Oh, no.
He basically sort of there's like a pipe on the way in, and he sort of like blinks and head bangs the pipe and hits the ground.
Oh, poor Tiberius.
Yeah, he's not agile.
He's on the ship.
Yeah, he's on the ship.
Fantastic. Top of the round. This Roth is now free and will stomp towards it. Kind of gets his baton out. I would like a dexterity saving throw from Ceirydos and Tulip, please.
18 for the dex save.
12.
12. Oh, cool. Tulip, you take 21 damage.
Oh my goodness.
This is force damage. And Ceirydos, you take 10 force damage as this burst of energy explodes under your feet. As this thing kind of points its wand straight at you. In addition to that, can I have a quick wisdom saving throw from both of you, please?
That is a 14.
14.
Mine's one. 12.
12. Sorry, Tulip, you also take 11 psychic damage as this wand of like pure energy just bursts this like psychic and forceful energy beneath your feet, or like lifting Tulip up and slamming them onto the floor for a second. You're not prone, but you are kind of like, oof, okay, that was a lot. I think even Ceirydos, you felt that was quite painful, and I think you felt the brain trying to grind its way into your brain at the same time. The two androids, I think there was enough of a pep talk that the two of them kind of look at the two of you and then look at this thing and then just go, oh fine, we'll just shoot this thing. It's big and scary and it hasn't actively threatened us, so so they just open fire on that. Cool, so that will make it Tulip, it is your go.
Yeah. After this tumbling about from the magic wand thing, I will try to aim something. Or are we like the door's still open? Or how are we doing ship-wise?
You are literally in front of the docking ramp. You can get onto the ship with minimal movement this turn if you need to. You know that Tibbs and Skip are both on board already.
Okay.
The doctor is on Ceirydos' back, who is right next to you. You can get inside as well.
Great. Okay, I am going to sort of back towards the ship, and at the same time I will cast my final vial of mayonnaise. Towards that roth big guy.
Yep.
Let's see. 13.
Does not hit, I'm afraid.
Nah. Well, I'm going to back up the into the ship then.
Back up into the ship. That is amazing. That will make it Skip. It is your go. The ship is ready. The energy is coursing through the different systems. The big red button that Tulip built you is ready to press. You can take off as soon as your friends are on board.
Cool. So I'm going to hold my action to hit the big red button when everybody is on board.
Yeah, excellent. These inboard ship sensors, which you're familiar with, let you know that everybody is literally at the docking ramp, apart from Tiberius, who's in the crew's like mess area, kind of like laying on his back, just staring up at the ceiling.
He's on board. Sure.
Ceirydos, it is your go.
Right. Yeah, I would go ahead and enter the ship, and as I walk in, offer my arm to Tulip, because I just saw them take quite the beating. So if they want to be carried, I will offer to carry them, as well as my med gel that I have, if you need it.
Amazing. Yeah, you can use your action to give the med gel to Tulip. That's no problem.
Perfect.
So that's 2d4 plus 4. Yeah.
So while they're healing,
sorry.
For the potion, is that
2d4?
my
It's just
roll, or
yeah. You roll because you're feeding it to Tulip.
2d4?
While they're rolling, Hedge. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say. So obviously, Skip's now going to take off. I have one final gadget that I have not used, and I think there's enough shenanigan here that I could probably use it on the way up. I have a launcher that normally does 30-foot damage range, but if you go higher up, would the height advantage allow you to launch it further?
I'd say you're probably not going to go up by much, but what I will say to you is, I think So it was 8 hit points you recover, by the way, Tulip.
Thank you.
No worries. So as you kind of like bolt to your feet on your turn, and you can run to the back of the ship, and you can wait as the door is sort of closing, and just make that last shot at the Roth, who's charging towards these 2 cyborgs at the moment, looking really angry. Not that they ever look, cheerful.
Yeah, because the only reason I say it is it's my favourite gadget out of like all the ones we've got. It's called the version 1812 multi-rocket launcher. Essentially, on his back, there's this little square, little rectangular box. He takes it out, and it sort of unfolds, and then unfolds again, and doubles and doubles and doubles, until it becomes this comically large, multi-barreled missile launcher, which is way too big for someone of his stature to be able to fully sort of control. And in this kind of, Tiberius is a well presented, calm person, but in a fit of like almost being killed by this Roth, just kind of holds the trigger and just starts launching this barrage of rockets towards the Roth. And what does it say? You proceed to fire wildly in every direction while playing a grand overture. There's a speaker built into this missile launcher. Just it's like playing music as you lob these missiles. And they have to make a dexterity saving throw.
I'm narratively, I'm not going to let you know what happens, but I'm going to let you roll all that damage, please, Tibbs. I think.
So it's 66 for this. 5, 4, 6, 20.
So internal to the ship, and it probably patches automatically into the ship's speakers as your AI tries to help out. You are all greeted by this Terran overture, this grand magic music, and I think Ceirydos and Tulip, you watch as these rockets launch all over the place, just exploding like fireworks all around this docking. Things start to burst into flames. The two, before it's completely consumed, you see these 2 cyborgs just look towards you as if to say, why? Why would you do this?
Why not?
Why not?
As this Roth just kind of leaps in slow motion with this huge rod, and the last thing you see is a burst of flame as you disappear through the docking, and it slams shut behind you, and you are in deep space.
What they hear is over the tannoy. They go, "This is your pilot, Skip speaking. Please make sure that you are strapped in, that you have stored any additional mayonnaise in the overhead compartments. Weather is cloudy with a chance of Roth. See you next time."
So we're going to wrap up here, I think. This is a nice place for us to end. Your mission, last location, takes you through the ion storm. Skip, I will need you to make me one last piloting check.
Let's go.
Because this is a dangerous trick that you are having to pull because of an unprecedented situation.
30 will do it, I'm sure.
In a feat of absolute excellent piloting, some of the best piloting in the galaxy, which makes no sense for this little halfling from a backwater planet in the middle of nowhere. Skip literally bursts through the ion storm, avoiding all the strike lightning that could damage your ship, gliding through, and whoop, you all feel that pressure as your body is both pulled and pushed together at the same time, hitting the dark matter engine, skipping over the surface of the void, and coming to a strange location that you were given as coordinates. The only thing that is there is a single ship waiting for you, a single 2-man vessel, which drifts in and docks to docking location if you will let it do so. A tall, elegant android woman in a long, dark cloak with delicate patterns all down the side, trimmed with little tiny tassels, looking incredibly elegant and dangerous, walks in. She exchanges a few words in Terran to the doctor, and then turns and looks at you. "Well, you did very well. You can consider the 20,000 agreed credits are being sent to you as we speak. You're 20,000 credits richer. Well done. And my employer would look forward to working with you again in the future. But that's not a story for today. That's a story for another time. What I will say before we go is, how long do this wonderful crew of misfits carry on working together? Is it an indefinite thing?
Skip's having a blast. He loves flying things fast. He enjoys everybody here, so Skip will stick along with this ship as long as everybody will let him stick along.
That's awesome. I think that's
yeah, absolutely.
I do see that's no reason for Tiberius to want to leave. Someone's got to pick him up when he falls.
And many more falls there are. You guys make a small name for yourself in this sector, and eventually you hear of other places you can go in the verse. You jump on to further adventures. This wonderful quartet of chaotic energy and mayo.
Lots of mayo.
I wasn't prepared for the mayo theme, but
you lent into it so beautifully.
We need to modify the multi-barreled rocket launcher to a multi-barreled mayo rocket launcher.
I feel like that in the future that is going to happen. I feel like between the two of you, eventually Tiberius puts his distrust of magic away, and Tulip learns more about science, and the wonderful, terrible weapons of mass mayo destruction that you create are glorious and well renowned. So, my lovely audience and my lovely players, that was Misadventures in Zero Gravity. Well done for escaping Space Station Perseus, and for fighting down the Roth and having a lot of fun doing it. I really enjoyed this. This was incredibly exciting. So what is left for me to do with the last few minutes I have is give my players a chance to tell you where you can find them and what they get up to. And I'm going to go in reverse. Frida, would you like to go first, please?
Yeah. I'm not really on Twitter, the Hellbird site, as someone called it yesterday. But I have Instagram, which is somewhere over there. Fhanners, which I will save you the time spelling out, but it's there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Josh?
Cool. Yeah, if you want to keep up with the luckiest halfling in the galaxy, you can find me everywhere on socials at Singularity Josh. I also do occasionally help put charity stuff together, be that here at Roth for Good, but also I have another charity endeavour with my friends, Raising the Game, where we do marathons for charity every now and again. So if you want to go follow Raising the Game on Twitch, I'd appreciate that a lot.
Amazing, brilliant. Moira?
Yes, hello. I can be found over on Twitter at Moira_Fuller. Not up to much other than retweeting art, but if you want to hang out, I can be found over there. My most recent thing that I'm working on that you can see me at is a new Theros campaign that is starting up June 11th over at Lawful Stupid RPG on Twitch. If you want to go ahead and go check them out, they've got some lovely podcasts and different things in the meantime. But I will be playing another Aquan type Triton character over there. So if you liked Ceirydos, I think you'll like her too.
Wonderful. I love Ceirydos. I thought Ceirydos was amazing. I loved all these characters.
Yeah. I know. We have to play again. I'll miss them.
Yeah. Hedge, where can we find you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter most of the time at Hedgehog UK. If I'm not there, I am working on our podcast, Travelers of the Multiverse, which is kind of Misadventures in Zero Gravity, but in a sort of fantasy magic setting instead, exploring the multiverse and trying not to destroy everything along the way.
Amazing. That's good. It's really good. As for me, I am Chris Mepham. You can find me at Chris Mepham RPG on Twitter or at Chris Mepham Art on Instagram. When I'm not DMing for wonderful people like these, I have a regular game which is every Sunday on Some Other Heroes, which is on Twitch. For more of this sort of shenaniganry and equal silliness. I have really enjoyed today. I hope you all have too. Please give generously, help support this wonderful cause. It is so much fun we're having, but we have a very serious goal that we do want to achieve, and you can help us make that happen. I am going to hand back to Lorai in a second, so that she can take us through to the next part of the day. We have been Misadventures in Zero Gravity. You have been wonderful. Joshy, please beam us out of here.
Thanks for watching, gang. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.